not only damaged black and brown folks by way of systemic discrimination and racism, it also left white people woefully unprepared to interpret our own world, and as a result made it possible for people like Donald Trump, and before that David Duke and Pat Buchanan, but certainly Trump now, to come in and take advantage of our newfound awareness of our racial identity. And that actually, of course, is what allows a lot of the extreme white nationalists to make bank on these issues too, right? By exploiting those fears, by exploiting that insecurity, by exploiting that sense of grievance. And so there's a lot of undoing that we have to do. And it's not easy, because we're talking about people who have been, led to think a certain way about themselves and about others for generations. So that to me is the big challenge, is confronting the newfound awareness of whiteness as a thing, right, that actually has had meaning, and making sure that white people understand that the goal is to transcend the narrow meaning of whiteness, to build multicultural democracy, and not to get stuck in that place of white grievance or white victimhood that this administration is seeking to keep us locked into.
And I was watching, Daryl, I don't know if you saw it, Rachel Maddow's Burn Order podcast. They had a major convening yesterday, a live convening on it to talk about the viciousness of the Japanese, what we called internment, but actually incarceration, as people were saying last night, and drawing the parallels of how, othering the Japanese during the 40s, and making, people scared of them, and drawing that contrast, that parallel to today, with the deportations, the anti-blackness didn't get, I think, as forwarded as it should have, but I'm glad that some of these speakers did bring it up. And I just, Tim, when you were watching, I mean, I don't know if you watched it, but there is this, this undercurrent in our society that, with white Americans, that you can either appeal to the racism side, or you can appeal to the freedom, side. And, and it's just, hard. Because everything is built in and ingrained to appeal to the racism side. And the one thing that people said last night is that the tragedy of that whole era was the fact that white people who saw this being done in their name and knew it wasn't in their name were silent.
Yeah. I mean, that's always.
Go ahead.
That's always how it is. I think the biggest danger is, we spend a lot of time. The media does this, and I think politicians do this, trying to find the individual sort of evil actor. So maybe it might be Stephen Miller this week, or every week for that matter. It might be Nick Fuentes. It might be Tucker Carlson. It might be David Duke. It might be. But the problem of those people, and they are a problem, they wouldn't be the kind of problem they are if it weren't for the sort of overarching tendency of far too many people, probably not just Americans, but certainly us, to just sort of go along, right? To not make waves, to not challenge, to not speak back. And so it's that silence. Mm-hmm. It's that willingness to go along with this newfound authoritarianism. It's that pre-compliance that I was talking about before, right? It's not just that the administration is pressuring colleges, pressuring companies, pressuring K-12 institutions, pressuring all these institutions to change their policies around diversity, equity, and anti-discrimination. It's that those institutions are gleefully agreeing to just get rid of things that they don't have to get rid of, just to make it easier for themselves. To me, that's the real evil here, because you know what David Duke is going to do. You know what Donald Trump is going to do. You know what Stephen Miller is going to do. Stephen Miller has despised brown people since he was growing up in Santa Monica as a high school student, if not earlier. We understand who they are. We know who Steve Bannon is. We know who Nick Fuentes is. We know who Tucker Carlson is. They are not capable, however, of doing what they are doing if it is not for the silence of other people who see it happening, who see people being snatched off the streets in their town, sent to foreign prisons, separated from their children, abused, and don't do anything. I mean, they might sit there and record it on their phone, but are they stopping it? Are they getting in the way of that? Are they demanding an end to that, or are they just sort of chronicling it for their Instagram feed? You know, because that's not sufficient resistance. So it's the silence, it's the turning away that makes this possible, and that's true in every society that has ever become authoritarian or fascist in any way. It's always the silence of the quote-unquote good people that's the biggest problem. It's always been that way. It was that way during the period of enslavement. You know, as my people in the South will, every white person you talk to about enslavement will say, well, my family, they didn't even own any human beings. We didn't own slaves. You know, number one, somebody did. So when everybody tells me that their people didn't, they're obviously not all being honest. But even if they were, that just sort of proves the point, doesn't it? The fact that only a very small percentage of people statistically were the actual owners of human property doesn't change the fact that the vast majority of all the other white folks who did not own other human beings didn't do anything. They didn't join the abolitionist struggle. They didn't challenge it.
Yes, and it wasn't that they didn't challenge it. I mean, you know, at one point when you go to Alabama and you visit, you know, the museums there that are, you know, so wonderful, you will see that at some points 80% of the economy of the entire state was tied in some way to slavery. The boat owners, the food suppliers, the processors, the people who sold the merchandise. I mean, it was all connected. So when people tell me they don't own slaves, I'm like, that's just that means nothing to me, because the entire economy was centered around slavery.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's just like that's to me a deflection. You know, and Daryl, you know, when you think about it, about, you know, the coming year, you know, to get to the 3.5% resistance to this administration, people of color got to get involved. And they got to be embraced. They got to be part of the activism. Daryl, you know, when you're listening to Tim speaking, you know, what do you hope, you know, we can, you know, will be different in 2026 as we continue to build the resistance, as we get ready for the midterms to stop this madness that's happening in this country, this destruction of our democracy? What do you hope also will happen, Daryl?
Thank you for that question, Barbara. You know, one of the things as Tim was speaking, one of the books that I encourage everyone to get and to read is from the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten. And the title of the book is Why Fascists Fear Teachers. And it goes directly to what Tim was just saying, is that it's an educational control piece. If you can control what people learn, if you can control how they think, if you can interfere with their critical thinking skills, they're easier to be manipulated and easier to follow whatever it is that the fascist leader wants them to follow, that they won't have the necessary tools to think for themselves. So as we pivot and go into 2026, Barbara, one of the things that has got to happen is that in order for this democracy to continue to grow and not go backwards, there has got to be an increase in the African American and people of color presence that are part of the demonstrations that are going on, whether it's No Kings or some other demonstration that's pro-democracy. Because the one thing that is clear is that if white democracy has a cold, the people of color have definitely got the flu. If they don't have something worse, laryngitis, because their voice will be taken away. So one of the things we have got to do is that we've got to be certain that all of the community is getting involved and standing arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, and pushing back to the protection of our democracy, and being certain that we're protecting our right to vote. Because right now we know that we're as we sit, Tim and Barbara, as we sit here waiting We're waiting for the Supreme Court to come down with this case,
Right.
A decision on the Calais case to see how far they're going to erode the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the rights of black and brown and other voters across this country. We're waiting on that. So we've got to be certain that we take the step to involve and to be active and to push back. So, Tim, as this show just comes to a close so quickly, if people are listening and they're saying, "This Tim Wise guy, I need to get his book. I need to hear him. I need to write to him." How do people get in contact with you, Tim? And what are your closing words?
Well, the easiest way to get in touch with me is probably through Instagram. My account there is Tim Wise Official. And folks can follow me there, reach out to me there, and stay in touch. You can find my books at bookstores or online, obviously, anywhere that books are sold. But I also want to encourage people to, stay in touch through the African American Policy Forum over at aapf.org. Get our new report, Anti-Blackness is the Point. Follow what we're going to be doing in 2026 as we try to make sure that framing of anti-blackness and the centrality of anti-blackness to what this administration does to everyone, not just to black folks, but to other folks as well, rooted in anti-blackness. We're going to be upholding that argument, that analysis, that framing, and we want other folks to use that framing. So it isn't just about making sure black and brown folks are involved and really, in my opinion, leading some of those demonstrations. It's about also insisting that the issues that most directly affect black folks and brown folk in this country are front and center, because too often when the political coalitions of resistance are overwhelmingly white, that's the stuff that falls out of the picture. And we have to keep that front and center in 2026.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Tim.
And Tim, let me just say, if I had a magic wand, I would be waving it all over the place to make more of you.
Well,
if there were thousands and thousands of Tim Wises out there, this would be a different country. And
I appreciate you.
Oh, no, it's hard to do what you do. Thank you for being that voice. Thank you for being out there. Thank you for all that you do. I know that it means a lot, and it's very important. Keep on being you. Keep on speaking. Keep on writing. Keep on making sure that people understand their role in this fight against racism.
Well, I will do that, and y'all keep doing the same. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Tim. Folks, we encourage you to go out and get the books by Tim Wise. Look up the African American Policy Forum at aapf.org. And folks, throughout this season, as we go into this new year, be certain to get out off the sidewalks and into the street, get into good trouble, and go to tjcoalition.org and donate to the Transformative Justice Coalition. We bring you programming like this. We're the ones that are in the streets. We'll put you in the streets. We want to be certain that we protect that right to vote. tjcoalition.org. Until next Tuesday, noon Eastern Standard Time, get off the sidewalks, get into the streets, get into some good trouble, and we'll see you next week. Happy New Year, everyone. Peace.
Happy New Year. Peace.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Urban One Incorporated, Radio One, or any of its subsidiary companies.
The preceding program was paid for by Barbara Arnwine.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000.
Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief took care of Eric's problem.
And now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-569-4435. 800-569-4435.
Optima Tax Relief.
Did you know that every year, public school teachers spend nearly $500 of their own money for student supplies? At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your help. Go to DonorsChoose.org and choose from teachers' requests that support reading, math, science, music, and more. Learn more at DonorsChoose.org.
Donors Choose. Support a classroom. Build a future.
A dog? I'm not. I was born for a purpose. To to bring you hope, to guide you out of darkness, to stand by you as you rediscover life. When past battles cloud your mind, I push them away. You tell me I'm your hero, just as you are mine. You hold me when you're afraid,